last year we ended up finishing second in the championship. We lost by a small margin to Jessica Donaldson, which was the first female champion for Southern Raceway also in the pure stock. She did a great job, and it was a tight battle all year long. We had a lot of close races, a lot of very tight racing. I guess you'd have to say that her and me were rivals during the race, so that was good for the fans and good for the speedway. And looking forward to this year. We won 5 races last year, had very good success, and had some ups and downs through some different things that went on the track, off the track. A lot of people see only the racing part of it, but there's a lot of things that go into it week in and week out, through Monday through Friday, getting ready for Saturday. You know, Will runs a full-time business, putting in well over 70 hours a week because he's a workaholic and makes sure he's taking care of the customers. And then he has to deal with me on the side. You know, what are friends for?
Yeah, exactly.
But, you know, I work a full-time job. I go into work 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, work my 8, 9 hours days, depending on what my boss wants out of me. And then I come over here and work on the race car. A lot of people may or may not realize that's been doing this. The ones that have been doing it and doing it passionately, they know they have to put in the hours in the race car. It doesn't just magically happen. And there are some few select people out there that can do it all by themselves. I wish I could claim I can do it all by myself, but I can't. I need help. I'm not a mechanic. I'm what you call a parts changer. They say pull a water pump. I can pull a water pump. If I got to diagnose it, that's what you separate a mechanic from a parts changer is. They can actually tell you what is really wrong and how to fix it. And I've surrounded myself with Dave. He's an accurate lead tech in the area. Then I got Will that runs the shop, and he knows everything, the ins and outs. And then we got a great engine package with Mickey Pro Comp, and he's there when we have questions about the motor, what's going on with it. And that's really benefited me as a racer to have these people surrounding me.
One good thing is Carl knows how to give us feedback now. Instead of saying it's just junk or whatever, you know, it's like, well, what do you mean it's just junk? What's going on? You know, and Carl explained to us what's going on, because half the time we're unable to see what's going on at the far end of the track because we're always in the pits watching the race, and you can't really see what's going on in turn 1 and 2 as well as you can in 3 and 4. That's why Sunny Gilmore, she does all our videotaping for us, and that helps out big time. And it helps us analyze the heat race, helps us analyze the feature races, and it's kind of funny when we actually post that on our website. We might get 1,000 to 2,000 hits off everybody watching our video because they want to see what we're doing, they want to see what they're doing, and I think we've probably helped a couple teams out as far as them watching our videos where Carl's going to run or how Carl's going to run. So, you know, I've told him, like, dude, go out through this race and just run a different line just because. You know, he laughs and he says I'm crazy and stuff, but, you know, it's very competitive in our sport and our class. We put a lot of time in the car, you know, just like, for instance, this week we finished 3rd. Car ran good. We knew we had to change the water pumps, so we're doing that. We're finding a couple other things while we're there, and we're just double checking. And we may spend, you know, 15, 20 hours just in an off week where the car wasn't tore up, nothing happened, just inspecting the car and making sure it's right. And we see it all the time. There's some people that just show up at the track and, hell, they may change oil at the track in the race car, maybe charge a battery when they get there. I mean, I couldn't imagine doing that with all the money and time we have invested in this with our sponsors. You go out there and the car doesn't start or something, I mean, I'd be embarrassed. And that's a big pride thing with us, you know, having a good-looking car, a good running car. And Carl always tries to run everybody fair, and we just ask everybody runs us fair in return. And there's a lot of people that have helped us out along the way, and we appreciate everything they've done too. But it's a lot of fun. You know, I used to race, and I'm happy I can give back to the sport as far as helping other drivers out. Carl and I are both very inspirational as far as helping kids out, because kids are your next up and coming drivers, you know, and that's the biggest thing you got to look at. If you can get the kids interested in the sport's going to keep thriving. If kids don't want to do this, you're just, as soon as we're done, it's going to fade out and it's not going to be there anymore. And it's a full-time job, you know, as far as racing just on the weekends. People don't realize it.
One of the things we're going to try to start doing, and I need to talk to Tom about this, is for dry-in, packing the track. the fans, the kids especially, they really like being around the cars. They like to be able to get in the car. We're going to try to talk with Tom and try to get something where if a child's there early enough and they get the ticket because they're all ticketed coming in, having one of those kids selected by somebody that's up front and say, hey, you can go ride in Carl's car. He'll pick you up at the gate. You go ride around. We'll pull you back. Mom and Dad can take the pictures and pick you up. I do have the benefit of having a spare seat in my race car where we can get some of these children to ride around the car, because some of them will never be able to have the chance to ride in the car. And you know, I didn't get to start racing until I was 34 years old. So it means a lot to get some of these kids young, passionate about the sport and learning the right way. And there's a lot of things, you know, as drivers you get temperamental and you get hot and you get a little upset about this, but really what humbles you is when you see the kids, whether you've done good, bad, you're upset with yourself, the kid will walk up to you and they'll say, you did so great, and it just makes you realize you got to sit back and take a step back and go, they're here watching this race, whether as long as you can pull it on the trailer and it's in one piece or you got to work on a little bit, that's a lot better than what could have happened. And these fans really look up to these drivers because they don't get to talk to us a lot one-on-one, and they only maybe seeing us on Saturday night. Or mom and dad. I had one kid coming into the post office with their mom, and he was like, I want to see that driver the 29. So she came up to the post office and mailed out a package so he could come see me. And it was one of those moments where you just sat there and went, wow, that is just awesome. And I didn't know what to say, and you know, I'm working at the same time, so you have to be professional. And it was one of those moments where you just wanted to hug that kid, because it made my day. It really did, to see that kid, and he was happy, excited. I root for you every week, and I don't get to go up in the stands as much as I'd like because, you know, I go to work early in the morning, work on the car, load it up, get to the track, and I work on the car throughout the day. While we're there, we always have something. We're double checking it. You can't just leave anything to chance. You have to go over it. And one thing, Will, you know, I'm very appreciative that he's a little OCD in a way about making sure you check this, air pressure, tires, is there any leaks? We've already checked the water 5 times and he wants to check it again as I'm about to pull out. I'm very fortunate to have the fans, the family, and the crew members and good friends that support me in this. I'm very
passionate. I'm from Iowa. I used to go to the Boone Super Nationals every year, Knoxville Nationals every year. My brother-in-law, Jimmy Benlin, he used to drag me to 3 or 4 races a week in Iowa. I mean, Iowa, you can watch races 7 days a week. They race 4 wide there. They don't wreck each other. It's awesome racing. I mean, whenever I got a chance to go back, I go back just to watch races just because the racing is so competitive with the IMCA class up there and the hobby stock and the street stock. And there's so many drivers that were up and coming when I was watching the races, and now a lot of these guys are racing in the higher ranks. And I've always wanted to be part of that. And I was fortunate enough back in '08, Daryl Lynchard, a friend of mine, was racing at Five Flags, and he said he wasn't much of a mechanic, and he said, if you guys build the cars, I'll pay for it, and you guys help me and we'll go racing. So I went out to Five Flags in '08 and never drove a race car before. I raced RC cars, thought that was fast, and I tell you what, as you get on the track, it's like, oh my gosh, these things are really quick. And I finished 10th in points, and then the following season, 2009, we went out there and kind of had an understanding of it, not really, but did. But Ricky Grimes was our setup guy, and he raced all over dirt track, motorcycles. The guy could race a shopping cart and win. He's awesome. He can get anything and just drive it. But anyways, 2010, I was fortunate enough, I went out there and won the track championship in '09, and we quit racing out there in 2010, and I went to the dirt track and raced a season for Joe Paycheck and had a lot of fun. I don't like the dirt. I don't like getting hit with stuff while I'm riding. It's nasty, it's dirty, but as long as Carl likes doing it, I think it's great. You know, that's not for me. It's not for me. So.
They have several different kinds of tear-offs. I use a X-stack kind, and they're 10 on a stack.
Yeah.
And as I pull them, I go, there goes a dollar. There goes a dollar. So I actually use gloves. So I'll actually take the back of mine and I'll wipe until it smears where I can't, because I don't want to rip that dollar off until I have to. But usually 10 will work for me. I got started in racing. I always liked racing. My stepdad took me to Atlanta, got to meet Bill Elliott, Knew several people that raced at Atlanta Motor Speedway because of my father, my stepdad. And then when I got older, didn't have anybody that did racing. I got into sim racing online. NR 2003
Really?
heat racing. Won several races, got paid to race online. Sim racing really was a lot of fun to me. It's probably the closest I got to driving a race car. And my dad got brain cancer and was diagnosed with stage 4 glioblastoma. And when we knew it was coming towards the end, one of the things he told me is, Carl, you've always done good, you've always focused on family, you've always done stuff for the family, you've always made sure they came first. You have to be able to take a little bit and be able to do something for yourself. And he said, you've always loved racing, figure out how to get into it. And I just, at the time he was telling me all this, that wasn't my focus. And after he passed, I was able to have the opportunity to drive a stinger car. Tom Lowry, actually, he had surgery and he wasn't able to drive his stinger car. Yes, Tom Lowry, the owner of Southern Raceway, he raced cars. I promise you, he raced them. I've seen pictures, saw it for myself. But he had surgery and was out for the last several races of the year. He let me drive it, and I got to drive two races. And I wasn't great. I finished like 10th or 14th out of the 2 races. But I absolutely was ear to ear smiling and absolutely having fun with it. And my wife, I looked at my wife and I looked at Stephanie and I said, so can I figure out how to get a car? And she said, yes. So we got some money up. My father-in-law, Steve Gerlach, with Emerald Coast Coins, helped me. I was very fortunate to have him backing me at the time. And I started doing stinger racing, and then we've elevated to pure stock. I did asphalt for a year. Thanks, Will.
Hey, that humbled you. The asphalt humbled you because I tried to explain to him how asphalt works. Here's asphalt. It's a chess game. Everybody's car is supposedly equal, and it's all about timing and just setup. And we went out with some of the best equipment, and we weren't competitive.
Yep.
And it's like, I think the best finish we had was third. And it's like, we spent good money, put the effort into it, and it was disappointing. And it's like, I didn't understand. I was like, so Carl says, tell you what, after the end of the season, we're gonna go back to the dirt track. Okay, so we took the same car, the same engine with a smaller camshaft than everybody else was running at Southern, cut the wheel wells out, put red dots on it, racing springs. Now this is the same car. Carl went out there the first night and finished second in the same car that we couldn't barely get a top 3 in. And it's like, Carl's like, yeah, we're going back to the dirt track.
Next year we're going to the dirt track. And I finished second in the points 3 times now. And my focus is, I'm trying not to focus on the points, because anybody that's raced for points, it really wraps you into a box, a very small box.
It ruins it.
And you focus on just the points, and that's how things get so heated with other drivers. You're running for 1 or 2 points, and I've had drivers come up to me, it's a heat race, why do you got to win? Well, that's 10 points versus 3 points or something like that. And they don't, when you're doing points, you have to have the best finish you can get regardless. And I'm very, very focused on trying to win some races this year, have some good finishes, and enjoy the aspect of the fans and the sponsors and my family and my crew that work with me, and get the smile back one way or another. Whether we win or lose, have a smile at the end of the night. That's what we want to have.
We had some issues with the car the first 2 races, and we got them ironed out, we got them fixed, and it wasn't because of lack of effort, it's just because things happen. When you're pushing a stock car beyond its design limits, things are going to break, things are going to not work properly. And the biggest thing is we've been fighting a setup issue because we AE bodies, hung a new body on the car, changed a lot of stuff with the car in the off season and lightened the car up to be competitive, and the balance of the car was off. And we scaled it, we went with the setup we thought was working, it didn't work. And in fact, Adam Ellison from AE Bodies helped us as far as get the spring package right, and with Carl and Dave and me, and we were able to get the scales right. Well, I'm fortunate I have a snap-on alignment machine, and we put the car up on there, and the numbers were way in left field. I mean, it wasn't even close. Got Adam on the phone again, and Adam told him where we needed to be at, and Chris Richardson, my shop foreman, he stayed late that night, and we were able to get the numbers where they needed to be for the car to be able to rotate through the corner and, you know, drive off the corner. We went out there last weekend, and I tell you what, it was like a totally different car. It was like we went and bought another car and put our number on it, and seriously, it was big time change. And then here we are looking at each other at the end of the night. We ended up with a third place finish. We could have won the race, but things transpired and things happened. So coulda, shoulda, woulda. But
Carl made a mistake.
Carl had fun though. That's all that matters. We had a good time. But the whole thing about it is, we're constantly looking, we're constantly changing, we're constantly digging, and we're just not accepting it is what it is. We're going to put the hard effort in, we're going to perform, and we're going to win at the end of the night. And that's what our big game plan is to constantly do better each week. And fortunately, we have friends that surround us that want to work with us, and we try to help them and help others. But
and great sponsors.
And great sponsors. Without the sponsors, you couldn't do this at the level that we're at. And there's a lot of fellow race car drivers that, you know, me myself, I try to help out because they're lacking and funds are lacking in certain areas that I try to help them out in. But we've got a lot of great sponsors that have been with Carl for forever, it seems like. And
I have a few that's been with me from the start. And we've had sponsors come, we've had sponsors go. One thing in racing is it's never cheap. And with racing, if it wasn't for the sponsors and my family and Will, I couldn't afford to do this. And one thing that's very very true is there's never a lack of sponsorship. We welcome sponsorship because as the race season goes on, there's always stuff that we need more of, or to be to the top level, you have to be able to purchase tires, you have to be able to purchase the fuel, and money runs short. The entry fees, when you're spending $200 to get into race, and if you don't finish in the top 2, you don't even come close to breaking even. So it's never about making money racing. Anybody that gets into racing thinking they're going to make money at these lower levels, you're not. If it wasn't for the sponsors, then Will, my father-in-law, you know, Samurai coming on board, AK Moyer, Pro Comp Machine Shop coming on board, Batteries Plus, Tommy Snowball, West Coating Florida, the Bar Drywall came on board, really helped us out because we had a sponsor that dropped out last year, and they came on board and stepped it up to help us fill the void this year.
Nancy
Brown.
Brown, she is awesome.
Credential.
She stepped up and gave us some extra money this year. And Subway, Greg's been a great guy, and actually last year Greg stepped up and helped us pay for the second seat so people could ride along in the car. I mean, that was
shake and bake seat.
That was pretty awesome of Greg to do that. You know, and the biggest thing is what's different about us is any winnings, any money we get from the track goes back into the team, into the car. We don't take any of the money. It all goes back into the car to buy something. It's like, Carl, we got an extra $200, let's buy some more tires. Carl's like, yeah, and we go buy more tires, you know, and you know, we need some race fuel. Yeah. All right, so don't let the car run too long because we don't got much race fuel left, you know. But, you know, things like that, it's like you just subconsciously thinking about that. And, you know, Navarre Auto Repair, great group of people because we just call the parts store and they just deliver parts and Navarre Auto Repair takes care of it. So it's like there's sometimes during the week it's like, Carl, you gotta stop buying stuff, man. I gotta make money first, you know. And it's funny where, you know, he doesn't realize it. He does, but it's just like subconsciously he doesn't. I see all the tickets coming through each week, and Joni, my office manager, is like, "Hey, Will, you need to take it easy on the race car stuff." I was like, "Well, you know, we're trying to win, you know, and that's what we want to do is win."
Which Wi-Fi?
Right.
And what's the password?
Put the car together. All the guys in the shop jumped in. We put the car together, and we went out there.
Lamont helped put the motor together.
Yeah, Lamont did that. I mean, this was low budget. We're going to try to do this. And Cool Graphics come on board, man. They did an awesome wrap. I mean, it was just an awesome wrap. It was great. Emerald Coast Coins, Arnett Septic, Subway, Navarre Auto Repair. I mean, I think, Nancy Brown was on the car. And a couple different sponsors. And we went out there and got in the car. And
no laps on asphalt, ever. None.
I run 5 laps in the car, and it was way loose. I mean, it was wicked loose. When you
just a little.
I'd go off in the corner, and the car just want to snap loose, and it's like, whoa. And I was like, this is bad. And I was trying to adjust it, seeing how it's going to work. And I was like, all right. So I came in and I said, all right, here you go, Carl. You drive it like the dirt track and you'll be awesome. So Carl goes out there and not knowing where you're supposed to run at 5 flags, Carl goes off in 1, and there's actually in the top of 1 by the wall, it flattens out. Well, Carl's running the car up by the wall sideways, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I've never seen anybody do this.
On dirt, you enter in high.
I've never seen anybody do this before, and I was like, this is crazy. And pretty much the whole race, we just seen the side of the car 29 all the way around the track. That's all we've seen. I'm thinking, I don't think these tires are going to hold up. I mean, Steve Buttrick can do it in a Sportsman. Maybe he can do it in a bomber car. Hell, I don't know. I've never seen anybody do this before. So Carl goes out there and what you qualify 12th or 13th?
Qualified 12th.
Which is remarkable because
out of like 22 cars.
He's never driven at 5 flags and never driven on asphalt. So Carl goes out there and he goes, how'd I do? I was like, dude, that was awesome. Because my first time I think I qualified about the same. I was like, that was awesome. You know. So Carl went out there. We're getting the car ready and it's a brand new car. And we don't know anything about this. So Carl goes out there and I said, here's the thing with the snowball derby. It's all about making it to the end. Carl, just make it to the end. So Carl goes out there and just musters on through the field. What did we end up finishing?
9th.
Carl finished 9th. And it was like, we won the war. It was awesome. Carl was like kind of disappointed. It's like, man. I was like, dude, you finished the race. It was awesome. I was like so ecstatic that we drove it on the trailer. I was like, because I've seen drivers go out there for the first time.
Did.
Yeah, almost.
That right front was
bald,
shredded.
But a lot of drivers go out there with the snowball derby. This is my first race. It's great. They get a car built and they think it's going to be great, and they end up wadding it up and they take it to the junkyard. And that's what happens at the snowball derby. No, Carl finished the race, got it 9th, and it's like we were all pumped. I was like, this is pretty cool. I was like, this is going to be fun. And I can honestly tell you, that was the longest season we raced out there because of trying to figure stuff out and the tires. And everybody else has just leaps and bounds since the last time I was out there. I mean, the changes, the track has changed, and the engine combinations and this chip. You can throw the chip in the woods. That's a joke. That chip thing is a joke because it doesn't save people from blowing up engines. I don't know what the idea of the chip is. I think it's just something to piss you off. But that was our asphalt season. We had a lot of fun. I think we finished, 4th in points?
4th in points.
4th in points. And
it taught me a lot.
But I can tell you one thing. Carl learned the restart is the biggest thing for you because you got to be up on the wheel, and those are cheap spots to get because you pass 2 or 3 cars on a restart, that's cheap instead of having to chase them around the track. And he really taught him to be up on the wheel. And
it taught me a lot about momentum and patience.
Yeah,
because momentum, and it's something that on dirt track, you know, you lose those 4 or 5 car lengths, you can drive it in a little bit deeper, make it up through the turn, and catch right back up. On asphalt, if you're not smooth and you're on that gas wrong, or you drag that brake going in the turn a little bit wrong, and you lose all that momentum, they just drive off and leave you. And you talk about disheartening feeling when you just keep watching them get farther and farther and farther, and there's nothing you can do. The rest of the time you can hit the perfect lap, but they're still hitting a little bit perfect. Better.
It's like a plane crash and you're walking through the desert. It's like, I see water. I see water. I see water. You never find the water, okay? Until the checker flag comes out, then you have to go in the pits and find your own damn water. But that's the whole illusion that you're going to get it, you're going to get it. And then we met a great guy. I've seen him. He's raced before. He's done a lot of racing. Great guy. Chris Cotto. Yeah. We seen Chris Cotto a lot when we raced asphalt. I didn't want to see Chris Cotto a lot because it was always money. It's like you finally get ahead and it's like, oh, we got to go see Chris Cotto. Great guy.
Best frame puller you could ever meet. And you talk about car knowledge. But at the same time, I love Chris Cotto, but you do not want to have to take your car to him for the wrong reason.
No.
You want to take your car to him, let him do the body, do the setup. You do not want to have to go see his frame machine.
No.
And I saw it a bunch. But if you got to have a frame pulled, he's the one that can do it. But you do not want to have to see him.
No.
Right. One thing in racing is you see a lot of people and they say, oh man, they get the car there, it looks good, they had a great night. What they don't see is the bad nights. The nights where we finished second. And everybody's like, oh, you finished second. But the rear of the car was so bent from getting hit. Remember when we backed it in and somebody rear-ended me because I spun out and somebody hit me wide open. And it was a 6-shooter race too.
Yeah, at Southern.
Wide open, restarted 20th, drove all the way up to second, finished second, which is great. But the problem is you win like $400, $500, something like that.
I think it was $600. I think we won $600.
$600.
We get the car to Cotto's and he's laughing, you know, and it destroyed the fuel cell. Chris
Fuel cell,
well, Chris,
bars,
yeah.
the rear supports. Basically, we almost have to re-clip the entire car.
And Chris goes, I got to use fuel cell over there. And you know, Chris is up in Milton where Carl is, so I pack up, we drive up there with the car and barely get it off the trailer, barely got it in the trailer. That's when we had an enclosed trailer. But anyways, Chris like, oh, he's laughing at us. So anyways, Carl's up there helping him. I went back to work and, yep, how much was it? I think Chris went online. It's like, well, it was $600. I know they got $600, you know, and it was probably at least a $1,200 job. And you know, he helped us out immensely. I mean, he's a great guy. And
anybody that looks at Chris Cotto and he tells you a price and they say, "Oh, that's too much," you're a complete moron.
yeah, you might
He's
have
worth every penny. And anybody that says he's not, I will punch you in the mouth.
yeah,
Because that man is worth every penny.
exactly.
Oh man.
But you know, it's what people don't understand is we do it because of the passion. There's days when it's great, there's days when it sucks. But as long as the good days outweigh the bad days, we're going to keep doing this because, you know, we like what we do and it's a lot of fun. And there's nothing better than to make it through the race, win the race, get down there, get your picture, get the people booing at you, get the people cheering for you. But the biggest thing is normally after we win a race, we always have people that stick around and the kids want to come down and get in the picture. And it's a great feeling. I mean, especially that they stayed and we usually run last. Now they're having us run first for some reason. But it is what it is. But I think Carl understands my passion for it. I understand his passion for it. And as long as it's fun, we're going to do it. And that's what it's all about. And I think our sponsors have a lot of fun because they always get T-shirts and they'll actually come out to the races. And then just like the video we're making right now, we're trying to get the word out to let people know that this is a fun sport and it's fun to do. And you can, you know, get on our webpage and our Facebook page. And I think we're probably the only pure stock team that's got anything at this level as far as getting the media involved. But it's a lot of fun.
But it's a double-edged sword. We do it for our sponsors and our fans, and we're not trying to take away from anybody else. We do it because we love to, and we want to give back to those that cannot be to the races. That's why we try to make sure we have a video up. We try to make sure we have fan cards. We try to do the T-shirts. And not everybody's going to like you as a racer or a team. You know, you're going to have people, we get wrecked or we get sent to the back, they boo us. They love it. There's 50-50. You know, you're always going to have the people that don't like you, and you're going to have people that love you. And as a driver, you know, I try really hard to try not to listen to it, but I care as a driver. I don't want to be someone that's just hated by certain people, and I understand the people that do not like me, and it's because most of the time they don't actually know me. Anybody out there that doesn't like me, I apologize that you don't get to know me. Anytime you want to get to know me, I'm here. I'm at the racetrack. Stop me, say, hey, ask me what I wanted, what I did this week, whatever. Ask me, I'll answer you. If someone actually wants to know me, I have no problem. That's one thing that as a race car driver, you have to make yourself available to those that want to talk to you. And it's hard sometimes as a racer when you're at the track, you're working on the car, and it's one of those things that I'm trying to do this year is focus on the fans, the sponsors, and having a smile. And one of our keys this year is stay humble, focus, and hustle hard.
Speaking of hustle hard, HSH, where'd that come from?
We kind of were coming up with all these names, and when I did the Stingers, I was one of those crazy guys that loved having the high side, but it was part of the car setup. I would run that outside and I would hold it. And as soon as I moved up to pure stock, I was one of the few guys. They put this weird banking, and the track was always one of these middle groove, bottom groove, and I didn't know no better because I ran that Stinger car, and I would just run to the outside. And I passed several people on the outside, and all of a sudden, that next week, you'd see the Greg Burtons and everybody, they knew I was coming up there. So they would just run that line too, and it ended up being where that year that I first started in pure stock, everybody wanted the outside. They wanted to start on the outside. And it's one of those evolutions of the racetracks is as the track changes the different levels and the degrees of the banking, it changes where the car wants to run. And it was just one of those things where that particular year when I first started, it was the outside, and I was not afraid to put it out there on the outside. And I love making him pucker a little bit and get all scared and sick in the feeling. Is going in turn one, I just like to put that rear bumper right on there and you see the sparks as you enter.
Coming on a four, it's great. I just love it.
Just part of it,
You
sir.
know, it's funny, people always say, can I be sponsorship on the other quarter this year? Because that right one always gets scratched up on the wall and you can't read it. And it's like, I think last year we put 3 different quarter panel wraps on the right side so the sponsor could, so what that sponsor did this year, we want the hood. So they paid more and they got the hood, which is great for us, but it's funny is we want the hood so everybody can still read us, you know, but and what we did when we came up with the name, we actually researched domain names and what was available, and my brother TJ with Build My SEO, he actually is a web page designer. He does my marketing for my business, and you know he helps us out with the race team immensely. And he's the one that came up with everything, and we're able to buy the domain name and get everything rolling. And it's kind of funny is HSH Racing has more followers than my business, and I've been in business 6 years. But you know it's just like it's taken off. People like the name, they like our merchandise and all the material.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do this crap
Why we still have those plug bars? There's some bad plug bars.
because Will likes having something to sit and look at when he wants to sit about our failures. We have to have reminders of the failures. If it wasn't for the failures, we would never be able to succeed.
So look, here I am. I'm
We
just
just
hanging
kicked
out
Will out.
and
Will had to go out for a minute.
yeah, Will
Had to get
Will-
somebody better looking.
Will's gone. So
Less hair.
next thing I show up, you're just ripping the car apart, man. What's
That's
up?
what you gotta do.
Tell me about it.
Maintenance, maintenance, maintenance. You wanna run up front? You can't just let it sit every week. Gotta keep working.
Well, we were talking about that a little bit earlier about how much work actually goes into the car during the Sunday through Friday.
Not
Yeah.
Sunday.
No,
Will won't let me work on the car on
Sundays is a
Sunday.
day of rest.
Sunday is nothing. Wonderful thing about that. But does the car stay dirty on Sunday?
Yes.
Yes.
If it even
Awesome.
gets off the trailer.
There you go.
We
Well,
started a new routine where Will actually spends 2 hours cleaning the car at the racetrack. All
Yeah.
the mud that came from the racetrack,
We
we
leave
like
it
to
at the
leave it
racetrack.
there because it really makes a pile here.
yeah. Don't bring any souvenirs home, right? Unless that's
But-
a checker flag, right?
Dave, I met in Stingers, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm very fortunate that he actually, when he kind of semi-retired, because he still wants to race. Don't ever get that. If he ever tells you that, it's a lie. He likes to race.
I take my race suit to the track every week.
Every week he's got it there. He's always, he doesn't want any harm to come to me, but he's not scared to get in the car if I'm, ill. So he's been very beneficial to me because him and Will are like rocks for me. I mean, if I need something, he's the first one that's running over. And one thing about Dave, there's times when we're like, Dave, don't run over somewhere else. I may need you. He doesn't care who it is. He likes to help people, and he is very friendly. Everybody loves his comical laugh. He might have a smile 90% of the time out there, but he's very good mechanical, being able to diagnose stuff. One of the things, I can't diagnose anything from the parts chamber. We went over that.
We tell him to change this, change that.
It's just a fact. I accept it. We move on.
I really don't. It's just if something needs to get done, I don't want to pussyfoot around. It's got to get done. Just get it done.
He's never once been afraid to get greasy or dirty. Doesn't care if it's hot. Doesn't matter what's going on. I can be on fire. He's coming to jump in and make sure it's out.
We just got to make sure that the thing gets right. We want to run up front every week. We want to be competitive. And the only way to be competitive is maintenance, maintenance, maintenance. I'll get to the track. First thing I do is climb underneath the car, check suspension bolts, check to make sure the shocks are tight, check the spark plugs are tight, plug wires.
My other OCD guy.
It's got to get, if it doesn't get done, where are you going to run? You're going to run in the back. You're going to brake, blow up.
Well, Dave, I love you, brother. I really do appreciate
I know we have
everything
different
you do
brothers,
for
but
me.
we're still brothers.
Every day. There's
I mean-
never a time that I'm worried about my safety when it comes to that. You always have it in the back of your mind. Anybody that races knows that. There's always that possibility of what could happen. I'm very fortunate. My mom and my stepdad Cindy and Larry French, last year. They saw a wreck at a race, and they the next day handed me the money and said, "You go get you a head and neck restraint." I've never enjoyed racing 1-to-1, but if they're willing to put their money forth, and they were for me and told me I'm wearing it, and when your mom tells you to do something,
you better do
it.
it.
So, you know, I've been wearing it since, even though sometimes it may be a hassle. I've gotten very
shut up and
comfortable.
hook it up.
And I've never worried about if something needs to be done. Because once I'm strapped in the car, it's not like I can get out and do anything. And Will and Dave, I could come off for anything. They're right there, wanting to know what they got to do. They're looking at the car, and I don't ever have to consider I'm getting out of the car once I'm strapped in. I know that they can handle it. I'm safe. If I've got to be pulled out, they will drag my butt out. They have no problem doing it. But Dave and Will, my safety equipment, that's one thing that I'm glad in the tracks around here. They try to make sure that the drivers have the good safety equipment. Their cages aren't not sufficient. They make sure they got the right belts and chains and stuff like that, and fire extinguishers. And we're very fortunate at Southern Raceway with the fire department we have. We may sometimes go like, why aren't they going? There's procedures. Sometimes they got to wait a few minutes, and it's because there's a procedure to everything. And as a driver, sometimes you freak out, or as a fan or a mother, but I promise you, they have their intent to come help us. And second guessing doesn't help them. They're there to do a job, and most of them are volunteers for us. So we really appreciate the police and the firemen and everybody that comes out there and supports us, and they're there for our protection.
We especially like the police.
We like the police. We never want the police unhappy with us. I'm a firm believer in the police.
We like when they show up.
Stay humble,
hustle
hustle
hard.
hard.